If you're planning to buy or sell a home, getting the house appraised is a key aspect of the transaction. Did you know that the appraisal can also kill the sale? I'm going to give you the lowdown on the who, what, when, where, and why of appraisals, what does an appraisal cost, and the biggest hang-up with appraisals that can make or break a sale. This is Dale Shin, Realtor in the Los Angeles area. If you're new to my channel, click the subscribe button to stay tuned for helpful LA real estate information and click the bell to get notified as soon as new videos hit. Let's start with what is an appraisal. An appraisal is an estimate of the value of a home performed by a licensed appraiser. An appraiser is someone trained in estimating property values and provides an unbiased and objective opinion of value. What exactly does the appraiser do? The appraiser will go to the subject property in the transaction, view the condition of it inside and out, note the layout, see what special features the property has, and make note of any health or safety items. The appraiser will take those findings and compare it to similar properties, called comparables, that recently sold in the area to arrive at an estimate of value for the subject property. What does an appraisal cost? It can depend on the size of the property. The larger the property, the higher the cost. Prices can range from around $400 to $600 and is a cost that the buyer will have to pay. Who orders an appraisal? Although the buyer is paying for the appraisal, it's always the buyer's lender who will choose and hire an appraiser to make sure it's an objective estimate of value. The appraisal fee usually has to be paid for by the buyer up front before the appraisal will be ordered. If you're the seller of the property, unfortunately, you will not be able to choose the appraiser. When does an appraisal take place? Since the typical loan contingency is 17 days in the standard California Association of Realtors purchase agreement, which would be the form used by most realtors, the appraisal should be scheduled and performed as soon as possible once escrow is opened. While the appraisal report itself may take a day or so for the appraiser to complete, it could take a few days before the lender can review it. So from scheduling a day and time for the appraiser to come out to the property, the time to write the report and send it to the lender, and for the lender to review and sign off on the appraisal, it can easily take a week from start to finish. So it's important to get right on this once escrow is opened. The buyer or the buyer's agent should inform their lender they are in escrow to purchase a property and request that an appraisal be scheduled right away. Why is an appraisal necessary? The appraisal is necessary in order for the lender to determine how much money they can loan on the house. As the house will be collateral for the purchase loan, in order to mitigate their risk, lenders loan money up to a certain percentage of the appraised value of the property. That percentage is their loan-to-value ratio, which for most lenders is 80% of the appraised value. This is why a typical down payment is 20%. But if the down payment is less than 20% and the buyer wants a loan amount that is more than 80% of the appraised value, it increases the risk to the lender, which is why the buyer will be required to have mortgage insurance. So if the buyer stops paying back the loan for whatever reason, the lender knows they can foreclose on the property and sell it to recover the money they loaned. If a property appraises at the purchase price or higher, you'll hear the phrase, the property appraised at value. So what is the biggest hang-up about an appraisal that can sink a sale? Here's an example. If the purchase price of a property is $450,000 and the appraisal values the property at $500,000, this will be a no-brainer. Any lender will give the buyer a loan as the appraised value of the property is significantly higher than the loan they would make at 80% of the purchase price. In this example, 80% of $450,000 is $360,000. If they for some reason have to foreclose on the property that they're in for $360,000 and they can sell it for $500,000, the lender should be able to make a nice profit. The property or collateral is a safe bet as the loan will be substantially less than its appraised value. But the hang-up comes if it's the other way around. Say the purchase price is $500,000 and the appraisal comes in at $450,000. The lender would only issue a loan up to 80% of their appraised value of $450,000, making the loan amount $360,000. If the buyer puts in $100,000 as down payment, which is 20% of the purchase price, the buyer has put together $460,000 to buy the house, but is short $40,000. So what can happen in this case? There are three possible outcomes. One, the seller is persuaded to lower the purchase price by $40,000 so that the buyer's financing will work out. Or two, the buyer is somehow able to scrounge up the additional $40,000, whether it be a gift from family or a second loan from another lender, or somehow money from friends. Or three, if neither option 1 or 2 work out and there's just no way to make the numbers work, as painful as it may be, the only option will be for the buyer to use the appraisal contingency in the standard California Association of Realtors purchase agreement and cancel the sale. This is how an appraisal can kill a sale. How can something like this happen? In a hot seller's market where prices are rising and properties are getting multiple offers over the asking price, there may not be comparables to support this higher price, and so an appraisal may not come in at value. The comparable data the appraiser has to rely on may not support this above asking price, so the appraisal comes in below the purchase price. This was often the case at the start of each seller's markets that we experienced here in the LA area. Another scenario is where a property is priced above market and the buyer is willing to pay that price, only to find that the appraisal does not come in at value. Has this happened to you? How was your experience? Let us know how you handled it. Comment below and share your story. To wrap it up, an appraisal is an estimate of a property's value that is ordered by a lender so they can determine how much they can loan on it. The buyer will pay for the appraisal cost, which should be requested of the lender immediately after escrow is opened. And what you want to hear, regardless of which side of the transaction you're on, is that the appraisal came in at value. If you hear that, you won't have to go through the biggest hang-up about appraisals that could potentially kill the sale. Just a quick note, if you're using a standard California Association of Realtors purchase agreement when submitting an offer to buy a house, make sure that appraisal contingency is active and not waived. So, what did you think of this video? Comment below with your thoughts, or if you have a question, post it below and I'll get back to you. Click the thumbs up button if you liked the video and share with a friend. But if you didn't like it, that's okay. Give it a thumbs down and comment why. It'll help me put out better content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.